Vibration of the One.
Let me give a shout out to Vibration the One. You are appreciated.
Hello, everybody. So, thought I would come back on here, doing this thing. It is almost 1 a.m. I had to get a lot of rest. I was very busy, and this is very new for me. Last week I was a guest on thatchannel.com. They interviewed me about my music and the journey of music, and I played a little bit of music for them. I have to thank them that there's a lot of technical difficulties. I couldn't get on the stream, so it's a miracle. I was supposed to be on it last week and I had issues, but with issues, there's tissues, and then things don't happen. Anyway, so I couldn't sleep. Just thinking of podcasts, watching podcasts, talking to friends about ascension and the space we need to integrate all these new energies that are coming through. And I made a joke to a few friends that it's like, well, should I mention that I'm feeling my DNA transform and feel like there's a running energy of gold moving through and healing and transforming? Or should I just keep that to myself? And in that reflection, would it be that, the reflection, the mirroring, would acknowledge us in the physical plane, right? Us as spirits. So, anywho, this is a thing that's been going on. I don't know if you've been following the coronal mass ejections, or what I like to call the other weather. That's interesting to look at. The correlation between perhaps our emotions, behaviors, and even the events of the world going on in relation to plasma waves coming from our sun hitting us all. Anywho, I thought, what kind of subject would come to mind after a lot of conversations in the week and being a guest on another show? So it's the journey, right? So I thought I would talk about competition and camaraderie. They both go hand in hand. And, we go through a lot of this in school. And I went to school for many things like art school, graphic design, animation, and there's a lot of getting your ego crushed by your let's say contemporaries, instructors, all for the greater good of hopefully teaching and showing you the way. And depending how well your able to stomach criticism coming at you, if you look beyond that, you'll find improvement. So I thought I would just speak about that and how the relationship of humans in a joint effort can, give the band a sense of working together and a sense of self-esteem. And we're always learning, and we're always looking and calculating, perhaps, our position in the world in the sense of worth and in the sense of being part of the club or accepted. And so in my journey, it's been a lot of everything. It's been a mixed bag, a melange, if you will, transcendental melange, not experienced through the spice of the desert. Anyway, the camaraderie that I've experienced and the expectation and then the egoic nature of holding that position when you are known for something or known for being good at something. So when I was a kid, I was always drawing because I was pretty shy, but I was starting to get good at it. I started to draw pretty realistically. I drew comics, I drew everything. Then I went to several specialized schools where I took art courses all day and two other subjects being math and English. So thank God I learned to count, and thank God I can communicate in the English language somewhat to varying degrees. Anyway, so in going through all of these experiences, I found the transformation of being known for being good at something to the humbleness of that expectation and the humbleness of, let's say, learning about giving that gift rather than being the one to shine. And so in high school, I was, and in middle school, I was consecutively getting the art award and, honors, whatever that means. That's 90, above 90 average, I believe. So apparently I have some kind of thing going on upstairs. Anywho, I mostly cared about the art, right? So if the art wasn't, I would sacrifice math and English for getting good grades in art. It was quite prideful of me at a young age, or it started to transform into that. So I thought I wanted to tell a tale of when I had this guy in my school who really wanted to be friends with me. He admired that I was obsessed with art, creating things. And I didn't know what to make of it because I pretty much kept to myself anyway, right? So I thought, okay, welcome this. And the other interesting thing about this friendship was that he was getting the lowest grade. I think it was F. There's A and then there's F. And so he reached out to me if I could help him after school, give him tips, help him on projects or just the way to look at things. And I said, yes, I love doing this. I'd love to help you out wherever I can. And so for weeks, maybe months even, I spent time with him. I helped him, showed him different techniques that I used, and he started to improve quite drastically and quite readily. And a friendship was being formulated out of that. And then I started to have troubles in the sense of trying to balance all the other subjects I had to do, because, you know, even if you did get straight A's in art and everything else was falling by the wayside, you would not graduate. So I put the focus through all streams of balance. And I thought, you know, I'm probably going to get the art award because I always get it. Been getting it for years consecutively, so I wasn't really on top of my game. I definitely was letting it slide. I wasn't, as Stephen Covey says, sharpening the saw. Something you need to do is to hone your skill and talent all the time and not just expect it'll be there. And so I was not doing that, but I still had the knowledge, but my work wasn't really being handed in on time. It wasn't as good as it could be. And so what was interesting is when the end of the year rolled around and the announcements came for the art award, it was actually the one I was tutoring that won the award. And I remember this transformational moment where he was going up on stage to receive the award. He was looking at me and mouthing out the words, "I'm sorry," and he was shocked. And I was having a moment of, I don't know what to think. Shouldn't that be me? But then I realized this is a great moment for him. I'm getting the chills right now. And I was humbled by the fact that I used my gifts and my know-how to help this person all year, and he went from F to A. And I can say I've never really tutored anyone with too much of anything, and I kind of have an aversion to teaching because I don't really like telling people what to do. I want them to have the journey of self-discovery, if you will. But that was quite a moment for me, and thinking of it now, perhaps I should reflect on this even more when people ask me if I can help them. And, you know, it was a different set of responsibilities in mind back then. It seems like now with social media, time is compacted and compressed. I sometimes look at old things that I've created and wondered, how did I have the time to do all of that? You know? And with the added pressure of sharing these things on social platforms and the competition, I wonder, is that sense of camaraderie something that we think about? And that was my first sense of camaraderie, where I could have felt rather upset and angry and highly competitive, but the lesson being we affect each other in means and intentions that are quite amazing. And so, along with that, I've also had musical experience in school, where I was a first chair flautist in a band in grades 7 and 8. We went to Stratford Festival. It's a really funny memory. And, you know, Stratford is now famous for our good friend Justin Bieber. But I was going to these competitions quite consecutively. And I remember being not wanting to be in band But my teacher just said, you're in band, you're going to play the flute, this is what you're doing. You seem like confused and puzzled because I felt like, can I opt out of it? If I opt out of it, I'll get a bad grade in music. So I said yes, and I noticed that people in my class who were not in the band, who said no, were, I thought in my head, getting picked on all the time. And so, it was my first actual musical class where I actually learned the notes, and I learned about key signatures and timing. And yet, with every other instrument after the flute, I never learned properly. I just learned by ear or by experimentation. Therefore, integrating this knowledge somehow in a synesthetic way, perhaps. And, it taught me many things. It taught me discipline of doing something that I didn't really want to do. And I had to wake up at 5 a.m. so I could get to school by 7 a.m. and, walk to school through the snow, through everything. And then if I was late, it would be horrible. I would be made an example of because I was first chair flautist and I was supposed to be there for everyone else and know my music and my sheet music, and I didn't always. I was actually late quite often, and the punishment or the disciplinary act, which I now know was so that I would get it together and maybe wake up at 4 o'clock to get to school at 5 or at 7, And so we would have this mechanical tuner in front of us. I don't know if they exist now. It was this big box of a thing. And it was had this readout that looked like it was from a plane from the 1940s or something. It had this dial, this readout, and it would show you a note like B flat, and it would waver on when you blew the flute to make a note, whether it was in the middle or off to the side, you knew you were in tune. And it was excruciating because on a flute, you have to tune it with little screws to adjust the tuning, and you have to find a note. It's quite a technical aspect of the flute. And so when I was doing that in front of who knows what, 40 people, 7 a.m., half asleep, as I am now, sometimes I couldn't get it. I couldn't get it in tune, and everyone would be staring at me, and I'd be staring at them, and they'd be like, oh my God, thank God I'm not you. And they'd be also thinking, oh God, hurry up so we can continue on with this. And sometimes I wouldn't get it. But I don't know why it didn't affect me in such a bad way. I was just like, well, what else can I do? I'm also half asleep. I'm a kid doing my best and getting reprimanded in front of everybody. It's not fun. But the lesson being that, being on time for the people that you're working with shows some sign of respect and some sign of being intentional and serious about creating a project together. So maybe that's why I'm doing this podcast, because lately I've had a lot of people reach out asking if we could work on something together, and I'm, it's always like, I'll give it a try, and I don't know these people's work ethic. I don't know if they make a bunch of notes. I don't know if I come on too strong with my ideas. I don't know until I make something with that person, the balance of the feedback and the input. So I don't necessarily know what I'm doing. It's a lot of a mishmash of actual things I've learned through perhaps music school and playing music on the street and the occasional jam with people And, you know, it's a gift, really, this learned discipline. And it's given me the value of being consistent with practice, even if I didn't want to do it. And also that with the practice comes with it the challenge, because some passages, some songs are way difficult, and some come easy, and some, even if you perceive it as a difficult task, you'll be amazed with the consistency and the persistence and your will to do and to get on with, hopefully envisioning that you will get some kind of likeness towards the music that you are practicing or the music that you hear in your head. And I think that's always the magic of enjoying music creation, is you hear something, you have a dream of a composition, and you try to share it in your wake walking space, and if it's anything close, it's just so magical, so joyful, and it's one of my favorite things when something comes out of the blue, whether you've just gone for a walk or you've just been hit by the lightning strike of inspiration. It's one of my most favorite things. And so that's, something I wanted to share today for the value of the camaraderie and the competition that is needed. Both are like the dualistic polarities in the journey of song creation, or be it any creative outlet or art form. And so that is the topic I wanted to touch on today. I hope you're doing well, your creations are moving along, and you're inspired. If you want to make a little look-see at any of my projects, things going on, I can be reached through Linktr.ee /Vibrationoftheone or vibrationoftheone.com. So that's linkt.ree/vibrationoftheone. And if you'd like to make a donation to the one-man show, which hopefully will expand into more than just I, in interviewing other creatives or people who I admire their voices or their talent. If you'd like to support the show in any way, big or small, or just like to contact me and chat, I can be reached at vibrationoftheone at also gmail.com. And so anything else in the ways of announcements? Well, it's been a frenzy of a time doing all of this podcast work, and tired but satisfied and overjoyed with people's feedback, and happy that I could start going on other people's podcasts too, and have a reverence for this art. And I hope you got some value out of this episode. It's, a passion that must be found for the spirit to feel lively and to feel a contribution. And in that contribution, I hope that you get a joyful reflection. And so with that, it's probably 2 a.m. This is when you get your best ideas, or it's like you're in a strange in-between space where, you don't have to do any kind of extracurricular, let's say, things to get your mind going when you're in between dream state and waking state. Oh, it's quite fun, the ideas that can come through. Okay, so that was a mouthful. I'm gonna rest now, gonna go to sleep. Thanks for listening. And also I started a Patreon page, so if you'd like to be a patron at the different intervals of $3 a month, $7 a month, or perhaps 13 or more, can reach me at patreon.com/vibrationoftheone. And so with that, signing off. Thank you.